Sportive bikes are more comfortable versions of race-orientated road bikes. They have slightly more relaxed handling, frames tuned to smooth the ride, and capacity for wider tyres. They could also make you faster. Here are 6 of the best.
Sportive bikes are brilliant for normal UK riding conditions. They're slightly more compliant frames, space for wider tyres, and geometry that is just a bit more relaxed than a road racer mean that these bikes are also better suited to those of us who aren't racing snakes anymore.
Okay, so a road race bike might look cool. They'll come with some fancy aero claims, but a Sportive bike won't beat you up as much. And that can make a big difference to your energy levels towards the end of a long ride. So if you're in the market for a new bike, check out our top picks.
First in our selection is this Ribble Endurance SL disc. This is one that you rode, Liam.
It is indeed. In fact, I got to choose a custom spec for this bike through Ribble's Bike Builder. And as we were aiming to build a Sportive bike, well, the end result fit quite nicely.
This bike is more at the road race bike end of the spectrum. So if you are comfortable with a low front end, then this could be the bike for you. But how did it ride, Liam?
Oh, actually, it was fantastic. If weekend group rides and Sportives are your thing, then this is going to be ideal. You have a fair bit of speed to play with, but you get it along with fantastic comfort levels. A lot of that is coming from the wheels. The low profile Mavic hoops that we had on our bike were perfect for the job. They are speedy enough on the flats, they climbed well, and I felt really comfortable riding those broken road surfaces with them.
Well, you did well to spec those then, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You also went for that Ultegra R8020 group set, which is a brilliant choice for Sportives. It's plenty light enough, the shifting is brilliant, and there's loads of power in the brakes.
Yeah, I have to say that I've been very busy reviewing the new 12-speed stuff, but personally I wouldn't be in a mad rush to upgrade if you can get the old group set. Oh, and the wheels don't come on this anymore. You have to go for carbons, and the build comes in at £3,100, something like that.
Next up is one of our favourite entry-level bikes of all time, the Triben RC520 disc, and it costs less than £850. It offers so much for your money with bags of versatility and brilliant kit for the money.
What surprises most people about the Triben 520 is how accessible the ride is, how easy it is to pedal the bike at moderate speeds and feel like you're just cruising along. Cornering in any situation is confidence inspiring, and it rolls incredibly smoothly too. It takes poor road surfaces in its stride with a good amount of all-round compliance, keeping things comfortable. And as long as you stay in the saddle, it climbs moderately well too.
The geometry thing is really important point here. With the Triben 520, it's all about a functional position aimed right at tourers, regular commuters, and endurance roadies.
With a super tall head tube and compact top tube, the bike sits you up relative to your general entry-level race bike, or even a fair chunk of the endurance-specific market too. It fully justifies its do-it-all tag for everyone except budding racers.
Now, we just couldn't leave the Cannondale Synapse off of this list. It's an absolute classic. The 2022 range runs from £1,600 right up to £9,000, and we think that the sweet spot is this 2RL disc model, which will set you back just under 4K.
So, new for the 2022 model, the latest Cannondale Synapse has seen some major changes over the previous model, not only in terms of frame shape and detailing, but also with the inclusion of their integrated SmartSense system, which includes lights, speed sensors, and even Garmin's radar detection system on some models. At its heart though, this is still an excellent frame set that offers a great ride quality and loads of stiffness.
You can really ride the Cannondale hard and fast. It deals well with off-camber technical bends without feeling flustered, and I wouldn't say it gives a lot away in terms of steering speed, even compared to some race bikes.
It is not all pedal mashing and heavy braking into bends though. The geometry allows you to sit up just a little bit. It's just a bit more upright than on a bike with a slammed front end, and that reduces pressure on your lower back and your wrists, which just makes it an efficient mile muncher, really.
That SmartSense tech, with a host of potential electronic integration in the future, is something that we will be really interested in. But right now, If it isn't for you, then you can just disconnect it.
A bike that rides superbly and can actually be had at a decent price right now is the Canyon Endurace. We really like the CF SLX Disc 8.0 ETAP model. It's quick, it offers plenty of stiffness, and it comes fitted with the highly efficient gear ratios of the 12-speed SRAM Force ETAP Groupset. It's a match made in heaven.
It's got the hydraulic disc brakes and wireless mechs, and this medium-sized ETAP model weighs in at a pretty light 7.77 kilos, which transfers to the ride. It's very responsive under acceleration, and it's pretty good on the climbs too.
Stiffness levels are high, which means that you can attack the hills either seated or smashing it out of the saddle. And when you've only got time for a quick blast of an hour or so, it is easy to enjoy riding the Canyon.
But it's on the longer trips where the Endurace really shows its hand, mostly because of how comfortable it is. The first thing you'll notice is the bump taming properties of that fancy leaf spring seat post. It allows a small amount of movement, which takes the edge off of rough road surfaces, and it just smooths out the ride.
Speaking of smooth rides, the Genesis Equilibrium is one to have a look at if you fancy something with a steel frame. The Equilibrium has been part of the Genesis lineup for many years now, and this latest version is an absolute corker thanks to a smooth ride and plenty of tyre clearance. The only thing we'd upgrade is the brakes at some point.
The Equilibrium now has Reynolds 725 steel frame with a Genesis steel fork, and the ride quality is beautiful. These comfort levels mean that you can ride this bike for hours without feeling battered and broken. That makes a big difference on something like an Audax, riding a challenging Sportive, or if you're just out touring.
So the Equilibrium achieves all of this while retaining plenty of feedback through its frame and fork, making it a bike that you can feel and listen to, if that's a thing. The geometry is slightly slacker than a race bike, and that brings neutrality to the handling, helped by the longer wheelbase too.
Tyre clearance is good for both the frame and the fork at 30mm, and thanks to deep section dual pivot calipers, you can also run full mudguards. And can we just touch on the fact that this is a bike that comes in at under £2 grand?
It's not bad.
In fact, you'll have change left over for stuff like mudguards.
Yeah.
If you really want to set this up as an all-weather bike.
Our final bike for today is the SpecializedRoubaix. This cobble-crushing race bike was designed for Paris-Roubaix, which, if you didn't know, is a one-day race in northern France that takes in over 50 kilometers of the roughest cobblestones you've ever seen. This bike's bump taming abilities means that it's rather well suited to a long day on British roads, and as it was originally designed as a race bike, you can be pretty sure it's quite speedy too.
There's definitely a lot of riders that have gone quite fast on them,
Yes.
even if it's not us.
No.
Specialized completely overhauled the much-loved Roubaix for 2020, saving weight, improving the aerodynamics, and refining that future shock bump-absorbing front suspension.
So granted, this lavishly equipped S-Works model is eye-wateringly expensive, but there are more affordable options in the range that inherit all the key changes. The Future Shock works overtime to smooth out the wrinkles, cracks and holes that are abundant on our local roads, which on a stiff race bike can lead to a bumpy ride. The 20mm of suspension is buttery smooth and quiet during use.
You don't actually notice it at all, really, apart from the smoothness you're feeling through the handlebars, and when you look down, you see that rubber boot.
It goes boing, 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 boing.
Thanks to the new Pavé seat post with its built-in flex and the drop seat stays, seated comfort is also as good as anything else on the market, really. Whether that be a Trek de Marne or Canyon Endurace. That combined with the Future Shock, the result is really impressive, and a very balanced bike that dishes out silky smoothness over even the coarsest of roads.
We've taken a closer look at the Cannondale Synapse that we mentioned earlier. It's well worth checking out because the SmartSense tech is rather nifty. Do you agree with our picks? Let us know what bike you use for your Sportives down in the comments below.
Or tell us what your dream Sportive bike would be. Remember to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.